Now that we memorized the hallmarks of cancer, let's memorize the drugs used to treat those hallmarks. And it's going to be in proper order here, same as this order, where resisting death will be treated by proapoptotic BH3 mimetics, okay? And then, and so forth. Now, in this memory palace, we are using the Flintstones, okay? And, you'll see here that Belma is cooking drugs with Dino to treat Barney for cancer, so indicated as drugs for cancer. Dino here is professionally throwing exploding firecrackers into this box instead of doing his actual job, which is using his mouth to blow hisses of flames into the box. So Belma threw him into the box, but Dino reacted by looking at memes on his phone. And this is going to be indicated as proapoptotic BH3 mimetics. Proapoptotic because he's throwing the firecrackers into the box and it's exploding. So exploding apoptotic. BH3 in the sense that he's blowing hisses, BH, with his mouth. And mouth is indicated as number 3. Mimetics because he's looking at memes in the box. So the elephant saw what was happening and he used his aerobic skills by jumping through the window, gliding backwards towards Belma, and then inhaling these illegal drugs. And so Wilma here saw what was happening and announced that every great father to race towards these illegal drugs to take some, take as much as they can because apparently it's addicting. So they want to ingest all that they can, and this is going to be indicated as EGFR inhibitors because every great father returns or races towards this bowl of drugs to inhale them. Inhale signifies inhibitors. Okay, to which Barney and Fred came in to inhale as soon as possible. As soon as they finished inhaling these drugs, they wanted more. So they stared at Wilma here, who is cycling while juggling bones in a pendulum style. So you see here that this is a cycling machine that she's using, okay, and with her left hand, she's juggling a series of bones in a pendulum-like style. And she noticed that Fred and Barney are staring at her, so she threw the bones towards the bench, who was playing chicken, until they were interrupted by the bones that were thrown at them. So this would be indicated as cyclin-dependent kinase inhibitor because she's using a cycling machine, dependent in a sense that she's using her left hand to juggle these bones in the pendulum style, so dependent, and kinase in a sense that Kai is right here and Ace is right here. Kai is a friend of mine, so you would not know Kai, but they're playing chicken, all right, and they were interrupted. So interrupted would be signifying inhibitors. Next up in the story is where everyone stops moving because Kai was crying. She was in pain from playing chicken, and Wilma thought this was domestic abuse. So she imprisoned everyone and really called the police. So she, closed the curtains, locked the doors, stuff like that. And Ace apparently is an anti-cop and would beat up any cop in his way. So he did a CT scan of her hands to check for injuries, but it was actually too late as the joints in her hands are destroyed because Ace has this fire ability that every time he attacks someone, he essentially, when he slapped his hand into Kai's hand, it burned. There was like a 3rd-degree burn. So it was too late. So he wrapped tinfoil onto her hands and then attempted to return home, and he eventually received or got mono. So this will be indicated as immune anti-CTLA4 mono antibody. That's a mouthful, but the reason why I said this is associated with that is because immune, because she imprisoned everyone, anti-CTLA4 because Ace is an anti-cop, so anti-C, and then TLA is really the sense of Ace using a CT scan, right, to check her hands, but it was too late. So LA emphasis, too late. Number 4 is used And I remember it because we are using the idea of tinfoil. And I always think of tinfoil, or the act of returning, when thinking of the number 4. And if you look at the major system story that I've had in previous videos, you'll see why. Mono antibody, because Ace received mono eventually from Kai. So meanwhile, the telephone is right here, and the telephone parrot is, it's ringing, okay? And while ringing, it's inhaling everything in this area like a wormhole, with Ace as the first victim. Okay, and this will be indicated as telomerase inhibitors because this telephone, so telomerase, so Ace is here, so telephone, telomerase, and the act of this bird actually inhaling everything, so signifying inhibitors, telomerase inhibitors. Now the next part of the story is where he manages to pick up this phone while he was being inhaled before it really sucked him in. And apparently he was selected to test out drugs that he can select. He didn't want any drugs, really, but this guy, this Bam Bam guy, he used a bat to whack Ace onto his head, onto his arms, legs, body, and it caused a lot of inflammation. So Ace on the phone said, hey, I want some anti-inflammatory drugs. I want some, NSAIDs, or anti-inflammatory drugs. So this will be indicated as selective anti-inflammatory drugs. And this is a stretch, but I remember it this way. And so he hung up the phone, and this was after the telephone actually inhaled his girlfriend, Kai. And it made Bam Bam really, really mad. And so he used like these special powers where these croissant-shaped meteors, from the sky, struck the house. It fell and, destroyed the house. And this would be indicated as inhibitors of HGF or CMET. Okay, inhibitors of HGF, because remember that the telephone isn't just inhaled the girlfriend. So inhaled girlfriend, hailed GF, HGF. Inhaled because inhibitors, HGF, and then the inhibitors of CMET will be indicated by the idea that the croissant shaped, so C in croissant, shaped meteors, MET, will be striking the house. All right, so indicated by inhibitors of HGF or CMET. Now, the next part of the story involves the croissant-shaped meteors left a few parts of the house intact. We see a fish over here, okay? He is actually a vegan, okay? And it's becoming fatter as it, drinks more and more of the water that is surrounding the fish, okay? And he's vegan, so that's good. And, another meteor basically fell and destroyed him, killed him. And so this would be indicated as inhibitor of VEGF signaling. So VEGF, why, how do I remember this? VEGF because he's a vegan, so VEG, okay, and F because he's getting fatter, okay? VEGF, vegan, and getting fatter, all right? And inhibitor because his session of drinking the water around him was interrupted because a meteor basically fell on him and killing him. Now, the green lizard over here, he's the only thing alive right here, okay? And imagine that this is an open field right here because of the meteors destroying the whole place, okay? And the green lizard here is playing golf in the open field and got a par. A par is a good thing. It's a good status or a result, when playing golf. And then he peed into the hole where he, scored his par, where he, left the golf ball in. And he peed into the hole while getting interrupted by a meteor as well. So this will be indicated as PARP inhibitor. PAR, par, like I said before, that he had in his golf session. And P, because he's peeing, he's urinating into the hole that he had a par in. And he was interrupted by a meteor, so another inhibitor that's being involved here. So this is a PARP inhibitor. So these are the 10 drugs used to treat these specific hallmarks of cancer in proper order. So like I said before, proapoptotic BH3 mimetics. Remember the firecrackers, the blowing hisses with the mouth. Looking at memes. All right, aerobic glycolysis inhibitors, because the elephant is doing aerobics, and he's gliding backwards to Belma to inhale these drugs, inhibit. EGFR inhibitors, because remember that every great father is racing towards the drugs so they can inhale them. So EGFR inhibitors. Cyclin-dependent kinase inhibitors, because remember Wilma is cycling, with the cycling machine, all right, and with her left hand she's juggling these series of bones in a pendulum-like style. So dependent. Kinase, because she threw those bones at kinase, Chi and Ace, who were interrupted by the bones, okay, that Wilma threw. They were playing chicken, actually, okay? And remember that the immune-activating anti-CTLA4 mono antibody, because Wilma imprisoned the whole family in the house, so immune. Anti-CTLA4, because Ace is an anti-cop, right? And he did a CT scan on Kai's hand so that he wanted to check if there were any injuries, and it was too late. LA emphasis. And so as a result, he used tinfoil. Tinfoil is number 4, to wrap around her hands in hopes of treating that. And he later eventually got mono. So mono antibody, MAB. The next part is telomerase. Remember telomerase, where he's using the telephone that was sucking him in, right? And he inhibited that because he picked up the phone. Picking up the phone will interrupt the sucking process, the whole wormhole idea. And so selective anti-inflammatory drugs, because remember he was called for to get any drug that he wanted. It was probably more of a congratulatory call that he can pick any drug that he wants and he can get it delivered to him. But Bam Bam whacked his head and his body, and he wanted some anti-inflammatory drugs. He was selected for that now. Next part is the inhibitors of HGF, where the telephone actually sucked in the girlfriend. So HGF inhaled, HGF inhaled inhibits, and hail HGF. It's a bit of a stretch, but I remember it this way. And Bam Bam saw this and got very angry, used a croissant-shaped meteor, CMET, okay, to really destroy the house. Next part is the inhibitors of VEGF signaling, where remember the fish is a vegan, all right, getting fatter, and interrupted by a meteor that was falling onto him and killing him. There's a lot of killing in here. So inhibitors of VEGF signaling, because vegan, fatter, inhibitor, because interrupted by meteor. Now PARP inhibitors, because remember the little green lizard was using a golf item, playing golf, and got a par, PAR, and then he's peeing on the hole where the golf ball resides in, PARP inhibitors. Interrupted because of the meteor, always killing the lizard. So these are the 10 hallmarks of cancer. I hope you enjoyed.